What style plays could UNC or Coach Davis run this season? We're going to talk about it on 94 Feet of UNC.
Doherty to Black. The time, 18. Shot, Jordan! Michael Jordan!
Swicker with the defense and the rebound. That's a good effort by Swicker.
Stackhouse streaking in on Park. Rebound stock is good, and he gets fouled by Park. Oh my goodness, what a dunk by Stackhouse.
Interesting that he brought him back so quickly, but you know what? They're down 8. It's fair to
the glass, no good. Rebound followed by Hansbrough. Good! Carolina.
inside 30 overall. Love, top of the key.
Alice about this over. Carolina. The Tar Heels have won the national championship.
And that is it. There is a new team in college basketball. North Carolina takes the title. Hampton, any final. North Carolina is the 2009 national champion. And this year, the confetti is going to fall to North Carolina. They're not going to be denied this time.
What is up, everybody? It is Thursday, September 5th. You are tuned in to the 94 Feet of UNC podcast. I am your host, Lindsay Graham. Got a special guest again in the building with me today. Before we get into the introduction and him introducing himself, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the subscription button and that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any content that I provide for you guys. Because once again, you never know who's gonna stop in to the Zell Dome. Like Pac, I call this the Zell Dome. So it's not the Dean Dome, it's the Zell Dome. You know what I'm saying? So I made sure I let all my special guests know that and everything. But like I said, my special guest in the building today is Coach Pac Kilby. He's a big Tar Heels fan. He's a familiar face for those that know. And for those that don't know, I'm going to let him introduce himself and get into everything. Pat, how are you today, my guy?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm here, man. I'm here. It's been one of them days, but hey, it's always good, like I said, to talk some Tar Heel hoops and Tar Heels in general, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, man, I typically, hopefully some of the listeners for you have seen me with Locked On with Isaac. I love doing that. I'm usually with him once a week. And then when you hit me up and asked me to come on, I was like, hey, this is Carolina basketball. I'd love to talk about that any day, anytime. So it's really a pleasure to be on, and I appreciate you thinking of me and having me on the show, man.
absolutely, man. I mean, listen, we're family around here. Like I tell everybody, no matter where you at in this world, if you're a Tar Heel fan, we're a family. This ain't the brotherhood as they call it down the street, a couple miles down the road and from Chapel Hill or whatever. So, it's always good to talk to Tar Heel fans, players, staff, whoever it is or whatever. So I appreciate you coming on. Of course, it's an honor. Like I told Isaac last week on the show that, you all have inspired me and motivated me to really get out here and do this. So I truly appreciate it. And yeah, man, I'm glad that you're here. And this is not a one-time stop. So, anytime you want to stop in at the Zell Dome, just in passing by, you're always welcome to stop by, Pac. Always.
Yeah, awesome. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be the first of many here.
Absolutely. So, Pac, let's get into some topics or whatever, right? So, I guess my first question would be, how did you become a Tar Heel fan?
Yeah, so I'm a legacy guy. My dad, he's a huge Carolina guy, and I grew up in North Carolina. Was born at Mission Hospital in Asheville, and grew up in Candler, and lived there for quite a while. Then we moved to Wilmington, so we've lived several places in the state of North Carolina. But that's always been home for us.
Right.
Growing up, my dad was a huge Tar Heels fan, and he passed that on to me and my brothers. And so that was kind of how I got started. But then how I got hooked was the beginning of the Roy Williams era. There was a lot in my childhood that I like clung to. I loved Forte when he came through. I
Mm-hmm.
loved Brendan Haywood. Those guys were coming through when I was like 6, 7 years old. But whenever I was really, starting to take hold of basketball was the Raymond Felton, Rashad McCants, Jackie Manuel, Marvin Williams, Sean May era. That's when Roy, at first, obviously Doherty recruited those guys, but Roy took them to a new height.
Yeah.
And that's whenever I fell in love with Carolina basketball was watching those groups. And as much as I love Tyler Hansbrough and some of the other guys that have came through, I think just the sentimental connection to falling in love with Carolina in the Sean May era, he will always
Yeah.
be my favorite big man. But yeah, I just became a Tar Heels fan through my dad's fanhood, and then I got hooked on it watching them so much growing up,
Yeah.
and now I'm a Tar Heel lifer, man.
Hey, that's how it goes. It sounds like my story a little bit. I kind of, my father, huge Tar Heel fan. As a matter of fact, my family is all Tar Heels, so it was kind of like, all right, get in line, basically, like fall in place, basically, whatever. So I just kind of followed in my father's footsteps when it comes to favorite teams and things as well. So, being of course a Tar Heel fan, a Knicks fan, a Giants fan, Yankees fan. So, just I latched on basically the pretty much the same way like you did. As far as I can remember back, and I'm probably showing my age here a little bit, but I remember the '93 championship. That's probably about as far as I can go back. Maybe that year of '93, '92, something like that. When we had Lynch and Montross and Salvadori and Henrik Rodel, Derek Phelps, all in that whole era. So of course, the '05 championship, like you said, with Sean May and them. It just that from that point on, man. I mean, just seeing the Carolina blue, it would just within my whole family, I just fell in love with it. I didn't know anything else, so it was like, okay, yeah, let's roll with them. Like so,
Yeah,
been a diehard fan my whole life. I guess you could say that I can remember back or whatever. So, hey,
yeah,
it works out, right? Like it
yeah.
is what it is. Yeah,
It's funny
yeah, yeah.
that '93 team you were just talking about. So that was the year I was born. So my dad, he always tells me I was destined to be a Tar Heel. We win the Natty the same year I'm born. So I think that what's funny is my oldest son was born in
Mhm.
2017, which is when
Okay.
Carolina won the Natty. So we're keeping kind of that tradition alive. But yeah, I was destined to be
Okay.
a Tar Heel. I love it. So
So that means you got to. So that means you got to have another kid this year, Pat.
yeah. We're gonna have to learn to win some natties without the kids because that ain't happening.
There you go. I got you. I got you. I got you. Well, I tried.
Yeah,
I tried, but yeah. So it's man, ain't nothing like this Tar Heel family. I tell you, it is. I kind of just real quick, like it bothers me here lately. People talking about this whole NIL thing about Carolina not having money. I've heard this on so many different podcasts, and I don't know where they get that idea from. I mean, it's Carolina. How can they not have any money to because the thing is that Carolina missed out on so many players and things like that. Like it's
right.
so what if we missed out on players? It's not because of money, because we got plenty of money. If we wanted to give a player $10 million, which I don't, that's never going to happen, but then we could do that. I mean, we're UNC. Why wouldn't we? Like certain schools, you just don't put in that category. Like, and Carolina is definitely one of them. Like in my eyes, all of the blue bloods, you do not put any of the blue bloods in that type of conversation because all the blue bloods got money. Period. I don't care how good they are, how bad they are. It's just it is what it is. So that's bothered me a whole lot here lately or whatever. But I digress. Now I got a podcast where now I can speak about it because I used to just argue through the phone, not I mean, knowing that these people can't hear me on the other side. But hey, now I have a voice. I can get it out there and let it be known. Like, listen, let's stop with that whole narrative situation. So it is
Yeah,
what it is,
I think
man. So
the important thing to remember there is, Carolina, do they have the money to go pay whoever they want to pay, whatever they want to pay them? Yeah, they do. But and Hubert does a really good job of this. I think a lot of people are complaining, going, well, we missed out on Cliff or this or that. But my thing is, are we willing to sacrifice who we are as a program to pay somebody the big
right,
bucks? I just can't get behind that, and I actually am 100% in support of the way Coach Davis has handled that. Carolina has a standard to uphold. You don't come to Carolina to get paid. You come to Carolina to win, and when you win and you do your job the way you're supposed to, the benefits will come with that. Look at
right, right.
Armando, look at RJ. They're well taken care of, but we're not going to pay you to come
Mhm.
to Carolina. You come to Carolina to win, and when you take care of business, then you get to reap the benefits of that. And I hope that never changes,
Right.
because the second you get into paying too much money for players, you get into team chemistry issues and you get into things that we haven't had to deal with at Carolina because our staff has handled
Mhm.
things the correct way. And so, is there positives to have going and getting a big man? Yeah, but those positives don't
Mhm.
outweigh the negatives, in my opinion.
Right. Right. Yeah. We are right on the same page because my thing is, like you said, you come into Carolina to play. You're coming to Carolina for the name on the front of the jersey. It's not for money. I mean, like you said, the benefits are going to come regardless. It's Carolina. Like, so the benefits are going to come, whether it's a high stock in the draft or, deals, whatever the case may be, they're going to come because that's just what this school is built on. I always tell people that Carolina is built off of morality, integrity, dignity. Like that's what we focus on here at UNC. Like, yeah, we would love to have all of the big time players, but we're not going to pay a player for $2 million, $3 million if that's their only reason for wanting to come to Carolina. Because no, like you said, Coach Davis, he has a system and he wants players that fit into the system, not players that just want to come there and he just wants to buy players so that he can buy a championship like some of these other coaches out here. But that's a whole nother story, I guess you could say, because I have a pet peeve with some coaches, coach. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like some of these coaches just grind my gears, man. But that's neither here nor there. So, but it is what it is. And, we want players. And, if we get them, then we get them. If we don't, then, we keep going. I mean, eventually we're gonna hit on a lot of big name players. And I do think we're gonna get some big players here coming up soon or whatever in recruitment wise or whatever, which actually I was gonna ask you, like kind of flowing into another topic real quick, but if you had to pick, I'll say this. So it's kind of like a two-part question, right? What players would you that are coming out of high school right now would you really, really want at UNC next year? And what players do you think, if it, hypothetically, what players do you think Carolina will land coming in for next year?
Admittedly, I don't follow a ton of the recruiting. So I don't know if I'll be able to give you an amazing answer on this.
I could give you some names if you need a little help.
Yeah, well, I know Jasper, right? Jasper
Right.
Johnson. Um, I think he would be a big get for us.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good one, and it sounds like it's a kind of a three-way battle.
Right.
Us in Alabama, which goes back to that NIL conversation we just had.
Mhm.
Those are two schools that that operate differently than Carolina, and that might come down to money. And if that's the case, then go ahead and have him. But he would be a good get. The
Yeah.
Boozer twins are coming out, right? And I
Right.
know that's kind of a legacy deal there for them. They're obviously their dad being Carlos and playing at Duke,
Right.
but it actually seems like they're open to that recruitment, and they're not shutting the doors on anything
Right.
based on that. So I can tell you right now, I'd love to get those two for multiple reasons, mostly because
Yeah.
they're great players. But
Yeah.
what win over Duke that would be. But and those guys kind of answer the bell of giving us more of the modern big, guys that are really versatile. So those three really stand out to me. And honestly, like I said, I don't follow the recruiting side of things a ton,
Right. Yeah.
but those three stand out to me.
Yeah. I'm with you on the Jasper situation. The Boozer twins, l- looking at things here lately, but with them, right now, it seems like they want to stay in Florida. Um, and that's the way that it's really looking now. I know that they was here in Durham last week, uh, visiting Duke or whatever. But well, I do know, and I've heard that one of them, I can't remember exactly which one it is, but one of them doesn't want to go to Duke, but they want to be a package deal. So it's like, I don't know how that's going to work like that, but I do think that they want to stay in Florida because I think that's where they live. So I think right now Miami and uh, Florida might be the lead runners for them. Maybe Florida State, but I don't think so. But I think it is Miami and Florida. So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out because, like I said, one of them don't want to go to Duke. I don't know
Right.
what's the reason or anything like that, but one of them is open to going to Duke, of course. So, but they were both on campus this past week, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out or whatever. You think? Do you think we land Jasper? That's been a big talk here lately.
Yeah, I think Kentucky is more on the outside, and it's mostly a Carolina Alabama battle. Which, what do you know? It's been Carolina and Alabama. It seems like several times now, but um, I tend to lean towards Alabama, just to be honest with you. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't be shocked if Carolina got him. But I think Alabama's going to win it. The recruitment, just just pure guess. But I'd sure be happy if we got him. That's for sure.
So lately, the rumblings have been that Kentucky is now the lead runner. Um, as a matter of fact, a lot of crystal balls and things like that have him going to Kentucky.
Okay.
I still think Jasper, and right now Alabama is third. They're where Kentucky was, from what I heard.
Okay.
Carolina's still right there in second place. I believe that Jasper is coming to UNC, um, and I have some reasons, but I mean, look at Ian Jackson. He was a Kentucky bound lock, and he shocked the world basically, and decided to come to Carolina. I think the
Yeah.
same thing is going to happen. For some reason, I mean, Jasper was here last year with Caleb Wilson. They came to the Carolina Duke game. There's no environment bigger or better than that. It doesn't get any bigger or better than that. Um, Recently, I've seen some things kind of like on social media. Everybody's been coming at me like with axes trying to chop my neck off, and I'm talking about Carolina fans, and I'm like, dude, you gotta like read the room. You gotta watch all of this and see how all of this is playing out. Like he's posting things from the Carolina basketball page. I mean, about his friends, James Brown, Elliot Cadeau. They all played together. They're all friends. My thing is, if a player is that focused and that locked in at Kentucky or at any school for that matter, then why are you watching other programs that may be in the runnings for you as well?
Sure.
Like and then turning around and posting it on your Instagram, like, and things like that. So it's kind of like, if I was Kentucky Lock, I can still support my friends behind the scenes. I don't have to post anything from the UNC basketball page. I'll support my friends. They know I support them behind the scenes. I could call them. I could text them like, yo, I seen the post, things like that. Saw the video clips, things like that. I don't have to post it for everybody to now see that. And not only that, but if you're a Lock at Kentucky, what if they see that? Like, so I don't know. I just kind of, I don't know. I'm not 100% for sure, but I'm like you. I would love to have him. Um, I do think Carolina is going to land him, but I mean, we'll find out. We'll
Yeah.
we'll we'll see. As a matter of fact, today is the day. Actually,
Yep.
it's the 5th, so today's the day for that for us to find out where he's going. So I have another show, I guess, coming up later or tomorrow about the whole commitment and decision and everything. All right, so Pat, let's move into the second question. What style or lineups could you see, or that what you would like to see Coach Davis go with this season? I mean, everybody talks about our backcourt being one of the best backcourts in the nation. Uh, Everybody is still concerned about our front court because we don't have that Armando Bacot to throw the ball into that's going to attract a lot of attention. So, what lineups, or what style plays would you like to see, or do you think, or what you think we may see this year with what Coach Davis may run with?
Yeah, so I think this year is more questions and toss-ups, kind of like you just alluded to, than ever really before, especially in the Hubert Davis era, because this is the first time that Hubert Davis will have coached a game without Armando Bacot manning the post down. So things are changing. There's front court questions, and there's a lot of different pairings and combinations and things that can be done with the front court. And when you just take a minute and just look at the front court, you got Jay Wash, who I think it's safe to say most people view him as a stretch guy, right? Like he's definitely more of a shooter, more of a face up than he is back to the basket rebounder, anything like that. So our five is totally changing from what we've had. Then we bring in Vin Allen Lubin, who can play some 4, he can play some 5. He's not much of a shooter, but he's really good at getting to the rim, kind of a creative scorer, a good finisher, decent passer, really rebounder, but he's different than what we've seen before. We've got Cade, who in a lot of ways reminds me of Brady Manning, just super efficient from the three-point line, lightning fast, really high release point. He's going to be a really great player for us. And then, Ty Claude, who is on the shorter side of things at 6'7", but man, he's got a great frame. And so James Brown, who I think is pretty safe to say, we're questioning, is he ready for this moment yet, or does he need a year or so to develop? Right. And so there's just a lot of, and obviously the loss of Zayden. So a lot of question marks there. And I think when we start talking about style of play, that's going to be a really I want to place a really big emphasis on the front court. Our back court is, like you said, it's the best in the country, one if not one of the best. I like to think it's the best. I just love our guard play, the way we can shoot it, the different lineups we can roll out there. We can roll Seth out with Ian and Drake and be just totally shut down defensively. Or we could go, an offensive route with RJ and Ian and say, good luck keeping those guys in front of you. There's just so many different things we can do there. And so one thing I think for sure is that we're going to play with pace. We're going to play very fast, and more so than ever before, we're going to see less sets. Hubert has been big on running a lot of sets in the half court. His first year, we ran tons of sets. That was the year we had Brady and we went to the national championship game, and he ran a lot of stuff in the half court. And then we've kind of the point where we're running less sets over time and playing with more pace. And this year, I think we see that more than anything, just because of the absolute freakish speed and athleticism we have on this team, particularly in the backcourt.
Yeah.
And where the front court comes in, I think we can have some flexibility there, because if we're playing teams that are bigger than us, we can do one of two things. We can try to choose to make them adapt to us by playing maybe like a Jalen Withers and Vin Allen Lubin and play really, really fast and have guys that can run the court. Or we might try to go big and heavy and strong and match up with them and play Jay Wash and, Ty Claude and get guys in there bang around. So I really think that's going to be interesting. And then you've obviously got the Cade Tyson factor that's like naturally pretty much anywhere else I think he would play the 3, but for us I think he would play the 4, and I think he's going to do a really good job of that, but he obviously changes the dynamic a little bit. So there's just a million ways we can go, but one thing I think for sure is going to happen is that we're going to play with much, much more freedom. We're going to play downhill. We're going to play attacking the rim. We're going to collapse defenses, and it's going to be a lot of layups and 3-pointers. We're going to shoot a lot of threes this year.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I see. We're used to the transition, as everybody says. I mean, Carolina always runs, and I do think we're going to see a lot of that this year, of course, just because of the lack of size or height, I guess you could say, in the paint. I think our front court, I think we have enough size in the front court because, like you said, Lubin being 6'8", 220, 230, something like that. Claude also being 6'8", 220, 230, big body. Jay Wash, 6'10", 230. Cade being 6'7", Withers being 6'9", 6'10. So I think in regards to size, I think we're really, I think we're good. Now, of course, it's going to be interesting, like you said, to see. And I always throw out the Umar Balos, who is probably the biggest player now in college basketball, other than the 7'9" kid from not kid, but the 7'9" guy from Florida, which I don't understand that. I think the NCAA needs to do some regulations on height here, because 7'9", how do you guard that? We already seen 4 years of Zach Edey. Like, what I don't understand it. But back to the Tar Heels. I mean, I do think I think Claude can do some banging around. This is his 5th, maybe 6th year. I've heard that it was his 6th year, but I think it's his 5th year.
6th year.
Yeah. So he has a ton of experience. He's not a offensive guy so much, but defensive wise, I think he's a great fit. He's played in the ACC, and his mindset to me is what stands out the most. I mean, like I tell everybody, you lead the ACC in offensive rebounds, but then you're 8th in minutes on your team. That says a lot. Like, I don't know if people really understand how much that says about him. I mean, you're leading the ACC when you got all of these other players in there, Baycott, DJ Burns, all of these other players. And here it is, Tyjon Claude leading the ACC in offensive rebounds, but you're 8th in minutes on your team. You didn't even start at Georgia Tech. So that says a lot about his mindset when it comes to rebounding, which Coach Davidson is going to, he's big on rebounding, offense and defense. So, I think that he's going to play a vital role. A lot of people, I don't understand why they say they don't see him playing a lot of minutes. I don't think that's the case. I think he's going to play an extreme lot of minutes, like, for sure. And you may see a lot of that. What is that Harrison used to do last year, where if the shot was missed, Harrison would tap it back out to the like top of the key,
Yep.
to the guards and things like that. I think that might end up being a style of play that Huber just like probably sticks with. It says, hey, let's continue to keep doing that because you tap it back out to somebody like Ian or RJ, Elliott now. Hopefully his shot really comes together, which I do think it will. And I mean, then you got open threes, you got drives to the basket, you got so many different things. So I like the like you said, let's go big if we want to. Let's go small and just run, tire people out. So it's going to be interesting to see what Coach Davis does in that area. And man, what do you think about Jay Wash as far as because Isaac says that he's probably the best center that North Carolina uh, has ever had. I think that might be yet to be seen. But what do you think in that regards? And I might be wrong in what Isaac said, but I think he said that he's the most skilled big that Carolina has had. And I agree with him. So I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think depending on what skills you're looking at, is he the best shooting big man we've had
Right.
as far as five player? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think with Jay Wash, there's a lot of questions, and rightfully so. And it's not. I want to be careful. They're not doubts. I'm not doubting his
Right.
ability. I'm saying there are some things that have yet to be seen. And for me, I think the starting point is can he stay healthy for a full season with a heavy load on his shoulders? We're going to ask him to do a lot this year, a lot more than he's done, and
Right.
he's obviously battled a lot of injuries. And so, can he stay healthy? Hopefully, he can. And when he does, can he bang? Can he bang with the big guys? Over the course of a season, and it's not going to just be ACC play. I mean, we've got Kansas right out of the gate. We've got some other marquee matchups, and he's going to be asked to see some big guys. And I was on Locked On, and I talked with Isaac about this. Jalen, in my mind, we're not going to ask him to go dominate his opponent. We're not expecting him to be Armando Bacot, and
Right.
for us to look at his matchup like you've got to win your matchup for us to have a chance. I think if we can get Jalen and his whoever he's guarding, whatever his matchup is, if he can be a wash, we're going to be right there for a national championship. He can't be getting beat up on, and I think that's a good starting place for him this year. Now, the year after that, we can start to expect some things of him, and we'll know more clearly what we can expect of him because he'll have a year of wearing that lead big man on his shoulders and really taking on that responsibility. But for now, in my mind anyways, I'm going, okay, what can we do to make sure Jay Wash can just balance out, can hold his own with his matchup, and we'll see from there. Now, I think he's got a great skill set. I think he can really shoot it. I love his 15-foot face-up game. I think we are going to have some back to the basket scoring this year out of him, just to keep people honest in the way they guard. And, and so I think that we're going to have to mix a little bit of that in. But I don't doubt his ability. I think he's got great touch. I think he's a good finisher around the rim for the most part. My questions come from health and physicality. Can he match up there? And if he can, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I think as far as him being his shooting ability, absolutely, probably the best center that North Carolina has ever had. I guess my concerns are the same with yours. Staying healthy, staying out of foul trouble, and his agility. I think got to get his feet right when it's time to move in the paint and things like that. Like, you know, can he? and I'm not saying that he will do it, but can he have that Hakeem Olajuwon type moving ability in the paint? I mean, of course, nobody can move like Hakeem, but I mean, can he get his footing, right, and get it set,
Yeah.
and being able to move around in the paint like a true big or whatever. And if he does become successful in that area, then like you said, I mean, he'll be able to bring his opponent out to the 3-point line, because they're gonna have to guard him, because he is an elite shooter as far as a big man is concerned. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Jay Wash does this year. Like you said, it is going to be challenging, but you know, they'll come together and figure things out. I'm sure that they got plans and things like that in mind, as far as how to maneuver with when it comes to him, and things like that. So, and sometimes you might even be able to move him to the 4 and put Lubin at 5. If there's, or Claude, which, like I said, Claude, I think he's going to get a lot of minutes, because of his, I mean, just his body mass of how big he is. He can move some people around in the paint. Like, that's like a brick wall, basically. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to see what happens. And we'll see. Jay Wash, we're gonna be watching. We're gonna be watching. So, but in a good way. In a good way. No, we're not taking anything from you. We're just expressing some things. So that it is what it is. So, Pat, let me ask you this: who would your X factor be this year on the team?
Oh man, I've really thought about this one a lot, and I think it's a tough question to answer, because I like when you ask that, I come to like 4 or 5 different people. I think
Mhm.
um, there's obviously the argument to be made for Jalen Washington, because the front court's such a question. It's like, well, Jalen Washington's obviously the X factor. But then
Right.
I think about Seth Trimble coming back and what he brings to the table, and it's like, wow, that could be an X factor there too. Just what he does is what I would consider probably the best sixth man in the ACC, maybe the country. I mean, that's a great player coming off the bench for us,
Right.
or possibly even starting at the 3, depending on what the coaching staff does. But that's what makes him a potential major X factor.
Yeah.
And there's Ian Jackson, who's the dynamite scorer, and kind of can do it all, and can be very explosive, and can take. He's the type of guy that I imagine can take our 4-point lead to 12 points by himself in 30 seconds. He's just that
Right.
kind of dynamic player.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you where I've landed on the X factors. Drake Powell. Uh, I, everybody is going to be everybody that's not paying close attention is going to be surprised by what he brings to the table. Um, I'll go as far as to say I think he's going to be an NBA draft lottery pick, and I think that'll be next year. Like, I think he's that good. He's got the things you can't teach. He's got the height, the length. He's got the ability to score all 3 levels of the floor. But he brings just massive amounts of versatility defensively. And when you think of Carolina, not everybody's thinking of Drake Powell right now,
Right.
but they're going to be come
Yeah.
Christmas break, be on everybody's radar. I really think he's going to be a special player, and he's going to be a big reason why Carolina's able to be as good as they are. I think he's the X factor for it.
So that's 2 people for Drake Powell that I've spoken to. So, because I mentioned this to Isaac, of course. Uh, I've mentioned this to Coach Rob. I had him on last week. Um, who else did I mention this to? I mentioned this to Riley Davis. So I forgot who Riley told me it was, but Isaac said Elliott. Coach Rob said Drake. You say Drake, and I've always been with Withers. Um, and the reason why is because, like I broke it down to them, I think that we should just have Withers focus on defense. Um, I'm not expecting him to be like a leaky black lockdown defender, but he's the most athletic on the team. He's the biggest athletic player that we have on the team, standing at 6'9". Um, and he's not that much of a scorer because this isn't Louisville. Uh, Louisville, when he was on the team, let's just be honest, they sucked. They was bad. So naturally, he was supposed to take all of the shots that he was taking, and things like that. Because I mean, he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was the two guard on Louisville's team, standing at 6'9". Like so, I mean, he had to take a lot of shots. Now that he's at Carolina, we don't really need him for as a scorer because we have a lot of scoring uh, pieces around him with Cadeau, RJ, Jackson, Powell, Tyson. Like we have a lot of scorers. I want Withers to focus on defense. If we can get him to focus on defense, that way now when opponents drive to the paint, whatever the case may be, okay, they're in the back of their mind, they have that fear like, where's Jalen? Where's Withers at? Because he can come out of nowhere, sky high, above the rim, swat it away. Like, just be that rim protector. Like, you might be 6'9", but play like you 7'1". Jump like you 7'2", 7'3", like above the rim. Just swat everything away. Like, I think if we can get him to lock down on that defensive side of things more so than anything, I think that takes Carolina to a whole different level. Now we're looking at a totally different team because even without a big man, because now it's like, okay, you got Withers who's coming in swatting everything away. You got Washington who can also get blocked, who can also rebound. Of course, get Withers to rebound as well. You got Claude, number one player in the ACC last year in offensive rebound. You got Lubin, who is also another stud. I mean, he's got a built body like Harrison Ingram in just about. Like, so let's get Withers to play that defense. If we could get him to do that, and then like you said with Powell, who's probably going to end up being the number one defender on the team. I mean, just because of his ability, we can put him on people like Cooper Flagg, but let's shut Cooper down. Basically, I don't think he's going to shut him down completely, but he's going to get under his skin a little bit, I guess you could say. So Withers is my X factor. More so just defense though. No offense. If you can get offense from him and it's efficient and successful, then that's fine. But I need him for defense. Kind of like a Leaky Black situation where Leaky wasn't a pure shooter, but he was a crazy defender. Like he was remarkable on the defensive side of things. So I think we should put Withers and give him that type of role as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think in theory, I think that's an amazing thought, and I agree with it. My biggest concern with Withers is he's just so he can be inconsistent, and so we know that his ceiling is high when he's playing really well, like you're talking about, buying in defensively, not turning the ball over, and taking shots only when they need to be taken. They're good, easy catch and shoots, or something of attacking the rim, getting to the free throw line, finishing around the rim, something like that. When he's doing that, his ceiling is high. But we also know his floor can be low. We experienced that last year too. And so he's got to get to a point where, he buys into that role that you just talked about. I think pretty well the coaching staff's vision for him. Now it's his responsibility to buy into that and take that on. Because like you, I think he could be an amazing defender, an amazing asset for us on the glass. Could be a freak in the full court press that we've done some in spots. I think we could see more of that this year, especially when he's on the court because of the aforementioned athleticism. So he's got some really bright spots. we just got to get him to take the right shots and not turn the ball over as much.
Yeah,
Just it's the old saying, just do what's asked of you and nothing more. Don't
yeah,
don't try anything that you don't need to take. Don't try to be a part of something you don't need to be a part of. Just do what's asked of you. And if he does that, man, I agree. He can be an X factor for sure. He
yeah,
just needs to show us that he's going to, willing to be that defensive shutdown guy. And I know that's hard for him because of, like you talked about, because of the role he played at Louisville. I mean, he's going from, hitting 42 threes in a season at Louisville to not even attempting 42 threes at Carolina.
right.
And so um, it's going to be different for him, but that's the role he has to play for us in order to be on the court and be successful. So we definitely need him to step up into that.
Yeah, I think that I think last year it was just a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah,
I think I think a lot of us as fans was looking for him to be that Louisville guy, and he wasn't that. And I think he might have heard about all of that pressure that was being put on him, and it weighed down on him to where that's where the inconsistency came in. I think it was a mental thing, kind of like with Elliot's shot. A lot of people and we all seem to think that it was a mental thing with Elliot as far as not being able to hit the threes and things like that. To where now I think Elliot has really fixed that situation. I think he's worked on it over the summer. We've seen video clips. Now, of course, that all transpires a little differently when you get on the court in real games, but to see it I think it's like a confidence booster for him. Um, and I think we're going to really see a different side of Elliott. As far as Jalen, once again, that the pressure that I think, because we all know, Pac, as Carolina fans, we tend to put pressure on the players. I mean, that's just what we do. Like, it's that's the fan base. That's just who we are.
yeah,
So I think if we all just sit back, let him and let the game come to him. Uh, Hopefully that could be something that Coach Davis and them present to him, like, hey, we want you to be the this defender more so than offense and defense because of the fact that we lack in the height inside of the paint. You're our most athletic person on the team besides Trimble, who's 6'3". So you can't expect Trimble to come in and be swatting stuff away like that. But you can expect Withers to be able to do things like that. Beat your opponent to the dribble, to the spot before they get there. Locking them down, like you said, in full court press. I think that helps Carolina because now you can get out there, you can continue to transition, you can run up and down the court. You got great players like Ian and Elliott and RJ who can alley the ball to him in transition. I mean, just because people are not going to look at him to be that offensive player. They're going to look at him more so now on the defensive end, where I think that's really his strong point. And I think if he gets that defense, that offense will come because now it's like, okay, I know my role. I know when and when not to take a shot. And now I don't have to worry about being inconsistent in my offense. It just if it happens, it happens. But my role is to play defense and be that key defender. Let's block shot. Let's run up and down the court. Let's do all of that or whatever. So I I always ask us fans that question: who's their X factor player on the team this year? Because there is so many. Like, imagine if we had a big man. Like, oh man, we would be what preseason number one maybe if we got the right one.
we would be up
Um,
there.
yeah, for sure. So I'll ask you this because I did ask Riley this, and this is kind of off topic a little bit, just real quick. If you had to out of the centers, the big men that we missed in the portal, which one was most attractive to you and that you wanted on the team?
Um, for me, probably Cliff. I just liked his rim protector abilities, his rebounding abilities, and for him, for me, you hear me talk about this a lot on Locked On. Talk about it now. From a coach's perspective, I'm looking at what's your floor like. When everybody wants to talk about what your ceiling is, but I'm looking what your floor is. When I put you out there, what do I know for sure that I'm going to get out of you at the very least? And with him, I thought he had the high floor. Others may have had a higher ceiling, but with him, he's an excellent rebounder. He's an excellent shot protector or rim protector, shot blocker, excellent at running the floor, which would have been a great fit for the guards that we have. And he's a lob catcher, right? And that would have been a great fit within the offense that I think we're going to run. Now, in hindsight, the more I look at our front court, the more I look at our back court, I'm kind of pleased that it worked out that we didn't get any of them and that we're with Jay Wash, in the sense that this team doesn't need anybody around the rim right now. We need space, we need gaps to drive, and we need room to finish at the rim, collapse defenses, being able to kick, catch, and shoot. And Jalen really brings that versatility that none of the other potential transfer bigs could have brought. So I think it worked out the way it was supposed to, but Cliff was probably the one I had my eye on the most.
Yeah, I think Cliff was my second option. I like everything that you just said about him. I mean, of course, yeah, that would have been great at Carolina. I think the one that me and Riley agreed on was Onyenso from Kentucky.
Yeah.
By him being 7 foot for sure. He might have been 7'2", but he didn't add a high ceiling, like you said. His didn't really need him like I always say, didn't need him for offense, but just having a 7-footer in the paint that all you got to do is like just lob the ball to him, for him to get some points. But on the defensive end, blocks, rebounds, because I look at people like Malawak from Duke. I mean, being 7 foot, 7'2", you want to match it. And of course we don't have that this year, but I always try to play match for match. Like 7 foot versus 7 foot, 7'2" versus 7'2", or something like that. And once again, like I said, we don't have that this year, but I think Onyenso would have been an amazing fit. Now, athleticism, of course, Cliff, for sure. Just being able to just like once again be like a Jay Withers, but in the paint, and just kind of with his size. Because if when you look at it, he doesn't really have a big offensive game. It's more so just defense, just being able to block shots and play above the rim, and things like that, or whatever, rebound things or whatever. So, I don't think Carolina could have missed, of course, with either one of them. But Onyenso was my favorite out of the ones that we missed on. So, but hey, I'm like you. I'm glad we didn't get anybody either, because, like you said, it gives us the ability to do so many other things.
For sure. Yeah, it does. And it fits. Jay Wash fits the personnel we have really well. We just need him to answer question marks. And then Yenso, in my mind, he had the lowest floor of the transfer bigs, but the highest ceiling. He's one of those guys that we would have needed to develop, but would have been a really good fit. So, yeah, I really don't think we could have gone wrong if we would have gotten those guys, but I like the way that it turned out.
Yeah. I'm right with you on that, Pac. I'm right with you on that. So my last question, over or under? Because I know you and Isaac do this a lot. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna throw one in here and see what Pac thinks. Over or under? North Carolina will win 27 games this season.
I'll take the over there.
Okay.
When I look at the whole scheme of things, there can be as many front court questions as we want to have. The reality is that guard play wins in college, and guard play wins, period. And Carolina's got it. And second to guard play is shooting. And right behind that is defensive versatility. And Carolina, I mean, we really check the box in all three of those things. And, I look at the ACC, I see talent, but I also see Carolina and Duke at the top of it. Yeah. And so I think conference play will be kind to us. And then I think we're going to pick up a win or two in conference tournament. I think we're going to, have a chance to play for the whole shebang in the NCAA tournament. So I like the over on 27 wins.
Okay. All right. Worst case scenario, how far did the Tar Heels go?
Worst case scenario, I think the floor for this team is the round of 64, losing out and being like a 8 seed or a 9 seed. And obviously the ceiling being win it all.
Yeah.
But I think at worst, genuinely, I believe just because our guard play is so good, I don't see us doing any worse than making the tournament and losing in the first round. But even that, I have a hard time buying into that just because guard play wins in March, and we've got it. We've got really good guard play, so I feel good about our team.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got the over on 27 games. Worst case, maybe Sweet 16 again. I maybe Elite 8, but best case, of course, a natty. So I'm right there. I'm right there with you, Pat. I'm right there with you. So, well, listen, that's gonna wrap it up for today, Pat. I appreciate you stopping through. Tell everybody where they can find you at.
Yeah, Twitter at Coach K _23. Yeah, follow me, give me a shout, holler at me anytime. Love to talk Carolina hoops.
Absolutely, my guy Pac Kilby in the building. He came by, stopped at the Zell Dome to chop it up with me a little bit today. Pac, I really appreciate you. It's been an honor, my guy, and of course, I got to get you back on here, man, for sure. Like when it gets closer to the season, I got some things lined up as far as some different type of episodes and things like that I'm putting in place, I guess you could say. So, but I'll keep you updated on that. So we're gonna have some fun this season for sure.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. So that's going to wrap it up for today, everybody. Listen, appreciate my guy Pac for stopping through. Don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, 94 Feet of UNC. And until then, we're going to catch y'all.